Now I will give a introduction of Dr. Srinivas. So Dr. Aditya Srinivas is a capital market and financial markets professional with specialization in macroeconomics and fundamental research. Dr. Srinivas is the Chief Operating Officer of BSE Brokers Forum, that's the Bombay Stock Exchange Brokers Forum. He has 17 years of corporate experience in the field of financial services with complete knowledge about all the segments of the capital markets and the various financial products. We are very fortunate to have him in the midst of us, and he has been taking so many sessions. This is the session 8 today, which will be on portfolio management. So this is quite a important and interesting topic for all because we all think of investing and having a portfolio. So hope you all have a good time. Dr. Srinivas, over to you. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
sir. Yes. So basically, friends, very good evening to all of you. I have a small PPT to share on portfolio management. So first I will share the PPT and then basically we will go with the Q&A round. See friends, basically to start with portfolio management. See typically if you feel now portfolio management primarily refers to 1 minute I will just enlarge the See, portfolio management basically refers to group of shares. So always remember that when you have group of shares from different companies, we say it is a portfolio. So typically, if you are holding only one share of one company, that means if I have only Reliance Industries share, then frankly speaking, it's not a portfolio. But if I say, okay, I have Reliance, Wipro, Infosys, then SBI, Larsen and Toubro, then that becomes my portfolio. The portfolio basically means group of shares from different sectors. See, the whole objective of portfolio management, the whole objective is that you get higher returns with relatively lesser level of risk. That is the whole objective of this exercise, whereby you identify good shares, you buy them, and you regularly analyze them so that basically you are aware which stock should be there in your portfolio and which stock should be removed from the portfolio. So that is something, friends, very critical and important as far as portfolio management is concerned. Primarily, portfolio management will always try to identify fundamentally sound companies. Now, not only you have to identify and buy those stocks, but at the same time, portfolio management will involve regular checkup of the portfolio and restructuring. Now, that is very important. See, typically what happens is, okay, if you buy stocks and then if you don't basically analyze them at regular interval, it may happen that certain stocks quality may go down. There may be some structural issues in the company or there may be some chronic problems. So basically it is important that you do a regular checkup of portfolio and then basically try to restructure it. That is something very important, friends, as far as portfolio management is concerned. If we talk of different kinds of portfolio, then primarily if you see, five major kind of portfolios can be created based on one own risk and return appetite. See, always remember, friends, the bottom line is how much risk can you take and how much basically returns you are expecting from portfolio. That is something very critical and important. So that point you have to, friends, keep it in mind. There are five main kinds of portfolio which you can always consider for buying, or you can create on these lines. See, the first is large cap stocks portfolio. Then there could be mid cap portfolio, small cap portfolio, exclusively dividend payout, dividend paying stocks portfolio. And finally, you can have a sectoral portfolio. So if you are comfortable, you can create any kind of these portfolios. Five major types of portfolios can be created. So that is something very important which you can always try to figure it out based on your own risk and return expectation. So now we will try to understand each one of them. See, when we say large cap portfolio, what does it mean? See, large cap portfolio primarily refers to selection of standard and well established companies. Correct. Selection of standard and well established companies are called as large cap portfolio. For example, when we take companies from BSE Sensex or say BSE 100, they would be all top-notch companies which are fundamentally very sound, large in size, well-established business, and a steady cash flow. So your ideal portfolio from these companies could be around 12 to 15 stocks, correct? That is more than sufficient to manage a good portfolio. Plus, always remember that when you are having large cap stocks in your portfolio, you will get decent returns. Decent returns, when I say, if you see BSE Sensex return from 1980 till date, it is around 16.5%. So easily 12 to 15% return would definitely be on the cards, and that too with relatively lesser degree of risk. See, the simple logic is that these companies are very sound, very large, and are basically business leaders in their segment. So one thing is clear, that even if temporarily the stock price goes down, it will finally start moving up. So ultimately, in the long term, you are sure to make good amount of money. If you see from 1979 till date, as I told you, that Sensex has given, BSE sensitive index has given a return of 16.5%. So obviously, this is something very well established long-term return that one can basically consider. So large cap portfolio will be definitely the more safest, relatively the most safest, and generating decent returns in the longer term perspective. Second, if you see, it is a mid-cap portfolio. See, mid-cap portfolio primarily refers to those stocks which are mid-cap, that is the emerging companies. Now, basic problem with these stocks is, friends, that mid-cap stocks are highly volatile. Volatile means what happens is, when the market is good, market is positive, they rise very fast. But at the same time, even with a slight disruption in the market or slight negative news in the market, they fall like pin of cards. So definitely they are more volatile as compared to large cap stocks. And typically what happens is, when they fall, the rise in the price takes lot of time. So at times investors get trapped in basically mid cap stocks. So that is something one has to be very cautious when you are investing in a mid cap portfolio. Always remember that in mid-cap portfolio you should not be you should not be in any hurry, because in a mid-cap portfolio, unless you have risk-taking ability, you should not invest. And exit is very important, friends. Exiting mid-cap stocks is the most important thing, because if you don't have right exit strategy, you won't be able to book profits, and finally you end up selling the stock at a loss. So that is something very, very important when it comes to mid-cap portfolio. Small cap portfolio even more riskier for the simple reason, friends, that these stocks are very thinly traded. Thinly traded means the number of shares traded on a day-to-day basis is relatively very less. Correct, very less number of shares are traded. So they are, to be very frank, illiquid to an extent. And because they are illiquid, the rise can be phenomenal, but at the same time, the fall will leave investors in distress. They crash out. So when the price crashes out, investors don't even get time to exit the stock. So that is why small cap portfolio is very, very risky. So always remember that when you are buying mid cap or small cap stocks, two things are very important. One, you have to thoroughly check the fundamentals, and second, the moment you get 12% profit, I typically take 12% as a base for the simple reason that FDs will give you around 5 to 6% on a longer term basis. So basically, if you are getting something double to FD, you should immediately book the profit and move out. That is the best strategy to play if you are still having mid cap and small cap stocks in your portfolio. Otherwise, typically what happens in small cap and mid cap stocks, investors do get profit, but they don't book it. And finally, they end up selling the stock at 50% loss. This is most of the cases I have seen while interacting with investors, that in small cap and mid cap, they enter very easily, but they fail to exit out. So that is why before entering, your exit strategy has to be very clear. Dividend paying stock portfolio, obviously, see, dividends will be paid only by those companies which are fundamentally very sound, who are basically large in size, because dividends can be paid only out of net profit. So if you are having a portfolio which comprises of mostly dividend paying stocks, automatically it means that you have basically selected a very good portfolio comprising of mostly large cap companies. See, typically dividend paying stocks will be those who have a very good track record, a lengthy track record, a strong balance sheet, free cash flows, and basically rising net profit. So fundamentally, those companies will be very sound because then only it can pay dividend. Dividend is hard cash, friends, which goes out of the company. So this kind of portfolio can also be relatively created and which would relatively be more safer as compared to mid cap and small cap portfolios. Finally, sectoral portfolio. See, sectoral portfolio, if you see from a risk and return perspective, then out of all the five, sectoral portfolio is one which will give you the highest return, but at the same time, it will have the highest risk. So that is something we have to, friends, keep it in mind. It will have highest return and highest risk. So one thing is very clear that if you invest in sectors like basically say IT, pharma, auto, then you would have made good money during this pandemic and other things. But at the same time, if you invested, had you invested in basically what I can say, travel and tourism, aviation, or real estate, it did not perform well. So one thing we have to keep it in mind is that in sectoral portfolio, your understanding of the sector and selection of the sector is very, very critical and important. Correct. That is something very critical and important. Your understanding and selection of the sector. If the sector turns out to be well, then obviously you will generate very good return. And if the sector turns out to be weak, your capital is at the risk of getting wiped off. So that is something we have to, friends, keep it in mind. Always remember, friends, that whenever you are buying a stock, whenever you buy a stock, whether it is large cap, mid cap, or small cap, these eight factors what we had seen in fundamental analysis, these eight factors you must always look at when you are buying a company. For instance, gross profit, that is the top line, whether top line is rising or not. Simple reason, if the top line is not rising, that means either the product is faulty or you are targeting a wrong market. So gross profit increase is a compulsory thing, friends. It has to go up. It means that company is able to generate sales revenue. And because unless the company generates sales revenue, you will not be able to pay for expenses. So second is net profit. See, basically net profit means what? Out of gross profit, when you minus all expenses, what you get is basically net profit. So basically, if net profit is rising, then only FII and mutual funds will buy your stock. So that is also very, very important factor, that net profit of the company has to rise. Then and then only institutional investors will buy the stock and the stock price goes up. Third, as I told you, EPS, earnings per share, it is nothing but net profit divided by total number of shares. So if the net profit of a company is rising, in most cases your EPS will also rise, and that is something a very positive sign. See, EPS rise, it's a clear indicator that company is profitable and things are on track. So that is something we have to keep it in mind. The fourth is price earning ratio. The fourth is called as PE ratio. See, price earning ratio means valuation ratio. Always remember, when we talk of valuation, in case of valuation, when you compare PE ratio, simple rule is that your base has to be same. You can compare PE ratio of Infosys and TCS, but you cannot compare PE ratio of Infosys and Tata Steel because both are into different sectors. So PE ratio will give you an idea about the valuation part. But as I told you, friends, valuation is a highly tricky subject. So basically, just by looking at PE ratio and taking a decision at times may go wrong also. Then comes debt equity ratio. See, debt equity ratio is the most important ratio in the current scenario, where it is very, very important that you should have less amount of debt capital in the company. See, if the debt equity ratio is zero or near to zero, then definitely that company is a more safer bet than a company which is loaded with debt capital. Because if you are loaded with debt capital, then in that case, it will always create a problem. So debt equity ratio is something very important which you have to keep it in mind, friends. If you see several recent examples like Kingfisher, Jet Airways, Reliance Communication, ILNFS, all these companies were once one of the largest companies in their respective fields. Today are on the verge of extinction or on the verge of bankruptcy for the simple reason that they kept on taking loans without any repayment strategy. So always remember the debt equity ratio, the lesser it is, the more better. Then comes liquidity ratio. See, liquidity ratio primarily refers to how much liquidity you have for paying short-term payment obligation. So that is called as a liquidity ratio. Always remember, if you have more liquidity, you will be in a better position to pay for your short-term expenses. So liquidity ratio is something very important, very critical, friends. Always keep that particular point in mind. Liquidity ratio is very vital, friends. Then is dividend payout ratio. How much dividend the company can pay. So if a company is regularly paying dividend, as I told you, then automatically it is a fundamentally very good company and you can consider it to be a part of your portfolio. And then comes, friends, order book. See, order book basically refers to how much work you have in hand. That is called as an order book, correct? So order book gets converted into cash flow and that is how you make money out of it. So order book is also something very important. So these 8 factors you should always check out, friends, whether you are buying a large cap company, a mid cap company, or a small cap company. Out of all this, if you ask me two most important factors, then the two most important factors which you should always try to find out is net profit and debt equity ratio. See, always remember that if the net profit of a company is rising, then only institutional investors like FII and mutual funds will buy that particular stock and the stock will go up. So that is why net profit is very vital, very critical. And on the other hand, zero debt equity ratio. See, debt equity should be zero. So this will ensure that the company does not have any financial obligation, the company does not have, and the company will be able to survive in any kind of slowdown or economic difficult situation. So both these things are very vital. Net profit rising and debt equity ratio should be zero. If you get this kind of combination, then that is the best stock to have in your portfolio. Apart from this, friends, see, just buying good companies is not enough. See, basically, if you, there is a process of portfolio management. For instance, number one, you will have to check the quarterly results of the company. That is something very important. See, all listed companies, friends, they give the results every 3 months. So when they give the results every 3 months, you need to check out basically all these parameters what we have discussed, that whether that particular company is doing well or not. Correct. So for quarterly analysis of the result is something very, very critical and important. That is one thing. Second is basically you have to check all the fundamental parameters what we discussed, the 8 important parameters, that in quarterly results whether those 8 parameters are improving or not. And third, if there is a chronic problem, for instance, if your basically net profit is continuously reducing or your debt equity ratio is rising continuously, then basically that stock needs to be removed. That stock must be removed from the portfolio and you can add a new company which has relatively better fundamentals. See, this process is very important, friends, because unless one follows the process, one will not be able to basically do justice to its portfolio. See, just merely buying stocks which were once good will not serve the purpose, because regular analysis of the portfolio is very important, friends. Because if you regularly don't track the portfolio, then it may happen that the stocks may deteriorate and you ultimately end up losing your capital. Ideal portfolio strategy, if you see, friends, ideal portfolio strategy should be that your portfolio should be a diversified one. So for example, you can have, see, if you take simple example, you are buying say Reliance Industries, so it is from the petroleum sector, now it has become a digital company. You buy Infosys, it is from IT, SBI from banking, Larsen from engineering, then Tata Steel from steel, Maruti from passenger car. So basically your portfolio, if it is diversified, then the risk is automatically less, because different sectors will behave differently with the economic cycles. Second, your ideal number of stocks in the portfolio should not be more than 15 to 20. It should not be above that, friends, because if the number of stocks go up too much, then basically the benefit of diversification will not be there. Third, typically try to go for a portfolio which has large cap stocks. See, that is always more better, for the simple reason that large cap stocks will always rise even if temporarily they fall. So large cap stocks are very important. You can have mid cap and small cap provided you have that kind of risk taking ability. Then only go for mid cap and small cap stocks. Otherwise, basically try to avoid it. And fifth, Very important that quarterly checking of fundamentals of the company, that is a must, friends. One should not just buy and sit, but you have to check the fundamentals of the company, whether it is doing good or not. See, whenever you want to create a portfolio, you want to manage a portfolio, three things are very important. See, your knowledge about Indian economy is very vital, macroeconomic factors of India, because unless you know that, you won't be able to get a feel that how Indian economy is performing and how basically world economy is going to react. Because today Indian economy and is integrated with world economy, friends. So your knowledge about world economy, Indian economy is very important, especially in the world. If you see what US and European monetary policies are doing, and most important is US Fed policy. See, whatever US Federal Reserve does, that has a direct impact, that will have a direct impact on global stock markets, including India. So your knowledge about basically US Federal Reserve, its working, the news which comes in the media, in the newspaper, you should be able to track those things. That is something very much required if you want to be successful in managing your portfolio. See, this table I have taken here, it shows, see, two institutional flows, FIIs and mutual funds. See, these two players are most important players as far as Indian stock market is concerned, friends. Now here, if you see, basically from 2003 to 2014, FIIs were very dominant and they used to invest huge amounts, as compared to mutual funds, which were investing very, very less amount as far as this is flows are concerned, from 2003 to 2014. From 15 onwards, if you see, friends, the whole game changed and we have huge amount of mutual funds flows. FII has invested only 17,000 crore, mutual funds invested 71,000 crore. FII has invested 21,000 crore, mutual fund invested 47,000 crore. FII has 53,000 crore, mutual funds 1,12,000 crore. In 2018, if you see, friends, 2018, FIIs were net sellers to the tune of 32,000 crore, whereas mutual funds invested 1,20,000 crore. So one thing was very clear, friends, that ultimately mutual funds played a very, very strong and a positive role. As far as 2019-20 is concerned, 19-20, in that, yes, FIIs again played a dominant role and they invested very large sums of money. 2019 was primarily because of elections that India had a stable government, so that money came very heavily. But even then, mutual funds invested 50,000 crore. But yes, in 2020, due to valuation concerns, mutual funds have been net sellers only to the tune of 47,000 crore, whereas FIIs are still buyers to the tune of 1.68 lakh crore, friends. In fact, the highest amount of FII inflow in the history of Indian capital market. See, FIIs were allowed in 1992. So from 1992 till 2021, if you take, the year 2020 is basically remembered as an year where highest amount of FII flows came in. And this last slide basically shows you from 2007 to 2020, each year the FII flows, friends. The plus sign indicates they were net buyers, minus sign indicates they were net sellers. So this basically shows that only three times, if you see 2008 global financial crisis, 2011 European Union crisis, 2015 a China crisis, these 3 year times, our markets give negative return. 2008, 52% negative return, 2011, 24% negative return, and 2015, 5% negative return. But in spite of these, friends, if you still take from 2007 to 2020, a 13-year, more than a decade data, if you take, and if you take index return, your still average return works out to be 12.85%. So it is approximately 13% return you are still generating. So that is something, friends, that shows the proof that in the long term, markets do give you returns. Only thing is that your investment strategy should be clear and should be concentrated on large cap stocks. So with this, friends, I complete my part of the presentation, and now we can surely go for Q&A round.
Thank you, Dr. Srinivas, for that very insightful presentation. I'm sure our attendees must have got to know how to manage a portfolio and what to look for when investing. Thank you once again.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Thank you. So as far as the questions are concerned, we have a question from Mr. Abdullah Sheikh. He wants to know what is the difference between NSE and BSE and its advantage and disadvantage one over the other.
See, basically, NSE, BSE are both nothing but national level exchanges. See, right now in India, there are two national level exchanges, NSE, BSE. Of course, MCX, NCDX are there, but they are primarily into commodities, and basically Metropolitan Stock Exchange is into currencies, mainly. As far as BSE NSE is concerned, see, if you talk of BSE, then BSE has market leader in terms of insurance, in terms of, sorry, mutual fund, that is Star MF, in terms of SME segment, small medium enterprise segment. In cash market and in derivatives, relatively the volumes are relatively less as compared to NSE, for the simple reason that most of the what I can say institutional investors trade on NSE. So that is one of the things which we need to keep it in mind. As far as retail investor is concerned, you and me, it hardly makes any difference whether you trade on BSE or NSE. Both will show you same quotes for all the stocks. Hardly there could be a difference of 5 paisa, 1 paisa, nothing, not more than that. So basically, it is nothing like you can buy shares on any of the exchanges as far as retail investor is concerned.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Srivas. Now, there was a question from a participant about the session that was missed yesterday. So I think we had informed that Dr. Srinivas had,
Yes, yes. See,
there was
yesterday,
a, right.
yesterday I had to attend that ceremony, and that too also in interiors of Gujarat. So there even internet is not there. So
Right.
basically, it was not possible. By night 9 o'clock, I came back to Surat. So that is
Right. Right. So we have rescheduled that session, which was yesterday, which was on commodity markets, to Wednesday, the 31st.
sure, sure.
So at the same time, we will be having it in the evening on Wednesday, 31st. Thank you. So the next question that we have is from Laik Ali Khan. And he says, sir, you're always talking of profit in terms of percentage. What does that mean, annual or monthly or any other period of time?
No, no. See, like sir, it is the logic is very simple. See, you buy a stock at 100 rupees, correct? Now, I typically say that if you are getting 12% profit, correct? So the simple logic is if you buy a share at 100 rupee and if it becomes 112, you obviously need to book the profit because 12% is double than FD, correct? Now, this 12% may come within 1 week, it may come in 1 month, or it may come in 3 months. So time frame is not, because you never know when that kind of target you may get. If markets are in bull run, you may get a 12% return within 5-6 days also. So it is very difficult to tell a time. But yes, as far as basically profit is concerned, my simple logic is that if you get 12%, book the profit, and then basically again patiently wait for the markets to come down. So then again you can enter.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
So we have next question from Mr. Shadab Kate, who wants to know who are operators in share market and how to identify their action in a particular company.
See, basically, operator word is used for manipulators, or basically, you can say now the people who try to rig the stock price. So, to be very frank, as such, it is very difficult to identify because they operate from with hidden agenda, hidden motives, and they are never in public. But you can always make it that if a stock which was just lying very quietly suddenly shows a movement, very high volatility, so you can judge or you can make a guess that yes, there is some kind of operating activity going on in that particular stock, especially if the fundamentals are weak, but even then basically the stock is rising. So in that case you may get an indication that definitely some kind of operating activity may be going in. So that is how you need to take a judgment.
Thank you once again. The next question that we have is from Mr. Muhammad Khalil, and he wants to know how much net profit percentage rise is good to be considered.
See, Mohammed sir, that will all depend upon what kind of economic scenario we are into. Correct. Overall economic scenario. See, right now, if you see, companies are making even a net profit of. If you see during the COVID times, also you will be surprised to know that average net profit of companies went up by 17%. So anything about 12 to 15% is considered as very positive and a good thing. 12 to 15%. 5 to 7% will be very nominal, correct? Now this all will depend upon what is the global outlook, how basically the Indian economy is doing, because see, everything is integrated. If the economy itself is in recession, obviously the company net profit is not going to rise. So the market will also, the market means total buyers and sellers will also try to take a judgment based on basically what kind of overall economic scenario is there. So based on that, they will take a judgment. Correct. It cannot that they take a judgment based on any this thing, arbitrary this thing. But yes, anything net profit above 10-12% is definitely considered as very good. There is no doubt in that.
Thank you, sir. There is the next question from Mr. Aftab Khan, and he wants to know how a healthy portfolio can be managed considering fund also.
See, Aftab sir, basically, see, fund obviously will be a major constraint, because see, if you really want to accumulate 12, 15 stocks, then obviously you need to have sizable fund, and that is why I always tell that you go with a monthly buying strategy. So that will not put pressure on fund size, or basically on what I can say, your monthly budget also. So it is always better that you buy small stocks, small quantity, and then gradually create a portfolio, rather than trying to create a portfolio overnight. Or the simplest strategy is that you do a mutual fund SIP, because in a mutual fund SIP, even with monthly 1,000 rupee investment, you will be getting an exposure to 30 to 40 companies. So you can even go with that particular strategy.
Thank you, sir. We have a question from anonymous attendee who wants to know, can you please tell me what is net worth?
Net worth is basically total asset minus total liability. Correct. Total assets minus total liability. So that is typically called as net worth. See, in Indian capital market, everything is every license you want to take is linked with net worth. For example, if you want to take, you want to become a depository participant, DP, you need a net worth of 2 crore rupees. If you want a derivatives market license, you need a net worth of 1 crore rupees. If you want to start a mutual fund, you need a net worth of 50 crore rupees. If you want to start a credit rating company, you need a net worth of 25 crores. So basically, net worth is nothing but your total asset minus total liabilities.
Thank you, sir. The next one we have is, and again from anonymous attendee, what is the difference between BSE Sensex and BSE 100?
See, basically, these are two different indices. BSE Sensex has top 30 companies. BSE 100 itself indicates that it has top 100 companies. So basically, these are different indexes. See, BSE has many index. For example, BSE PSU index is there, which will have only government companies. Then BSE Healthcare, which will have only pharma companies. Then basically BSE Oil and Gas, which will have basically companies which are into oil and gas segment. So similarly, we have index called as BSE Sensex, which is the main index, and BSE 100, which has top 100 companies.
Right. Thank you very much. Another one from another attendee: is it possible to get 12 to 18% per month through swing trading?
No, not at all, friends. And never even try to see 12 to 18% is an annual return, friends, not monthly. Monthly, if you get 12 to 18%, that means you are doubling your money in 6 months. How is that possible? Correct. It is practically impossible.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now there's one from Muhammad Imran Khan, and he wants to know, can one buy share in NSE and sell the same in BSE and vice versa? If one does it, are there any penalty?
No, after from 1st July 2000, from 1st July 2020, this has been made possible, and this entire mechanism is called as interoperability. Interoperability means you can buy on BSE and sell on NSE or vice versa. That is allowed, provided your broker is basically having broker is having membership of both exchanges. Yes, this is allowed, and there is no penalty for that.
Great, thank you very much. So one from Mr. Tosif Sayyed, he says, I bought a mid-cap stock from 74 to 145 rupees with averaging around 90 rupees. Now it goes up to 190 rupees. I bought it for long-term investment. What do you suggest? Shall I hold it or sell a part to clear my investment?
At least basically take out your capital. Take out your capital and basically just check it out that the recent quarterly results which have come, all the factors which you have discussed, at least whether the net profit is on track, gross profit is rising, the debt is not much in the company, just check those things. If you find that yes, fundamentals are very strong, then you hold the stock, but at least remove your capital. Whatever capital you have invested, remove it, so that then the loss is only in terms of profit, not in terms of your capital invested.
Thank you, sir. There are a couple of questions from Mr. Mohammed Kaleem.
Yes.
He says, excuse me. Yeah, he says, one who buys stocks on the basis of sectoral indices behavior. Please explain. And he also wants to explain the difference between market correction and market crash, how to analyze that.
See, basically, see, sectoral indices means, please understand, Mohammed sir, can see there are various sectors, as I told you, a pharmaceutical index. So that will have basically all stocks of pharma companies only, correct? Then basically PSU index, it will have only banking sector stocks. So here, basically, if you decide to buy stock from based on sector, see right now, if you see banks are doing well because Supreme Court gave that moratorium, this thing that the decision can be taken by government and obviously interest will be charged. So that was positive for the overall banking sector. So from that, then you have to decide that whether you want to go with SBI or ICICI or you basically go with HDFC, correct? So you have to first see what is the overall sector performance. See, right now, after Biden has come, already the H1B visa and those things have been sorted out. So IT sector is also into limelight. But in IT sector, you need to check out that whether you are comfortable buying Infosys, TCS, or you want to buy a small stock like say Tech, this HCL Tech or Tech Mahindra. So that will again depend from person to person. So that is one way of looking at the sectoral indices. Second is basically, see, market correction means what? Market correction means market right now is what we are into correction, is what you are currently witnessing in the market. See, from 52,000, we are right now at around 50,000. In earlier this month or this month, we had gone up to 47,000 also. So basically, when the markets are rising in full swing and by some percentage they come down, it is called as market correction. Market crash is basically that straightway 10% market comes down in one shot. So that is called as market crash. Always remember, in market correction as well as in market crash, if you buy stocks of see which are very large cap, which are fundamentally very sound large companies, that will always give you very good returns in the times to come, because simple reason, the moment sentiments become normal, the large cap stocks will be the first to bounce back. So keep that particular point in mind.
Thank you very much. We have one from Naseem Saab, and he wants to know, can we include the mutual fund in our portfolio as well? And if we do, is it better, or keep only the stocks in the portfolio, your valued input?
See, basically portfolio, see the word portfolio, if you take now, if you are referring the word portfolio to your overall investment strategy, then yes, you can definitely have mutual funds as a part of your overall investment strategy. In fact, the last lecture which we will be taking is on that only, overall portfolio management. So in that, your property comes, gold comes, insurance comes, even FD comes. So from that perspective, yes, mutual fund should be there as a part of your portfolio. But if you are only talking of portfolio in terms of stock market, then that is a different thing. In that, you should have only stocks. So that will, this particular topic also we are going to take in one of the sessions. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. We have one from another anonymous attendee. He wants to know, what is your prediction about Indian share market for next 5 years? Can we draw 10% per month?
See, basically, it is difficult to say in terms of percentage, but one thing I can very well say, the next 5 to 10 years is very bright for Indian economy also, and obviously for stock market also, because the way structural reforms are being carried out by the government. One thing is very clear, that India will definitely become a $5 trillion economy in next 5 to 7 years, and once that happens, obviously the stock market will skyrocket. So I am very bullish from that perspective, friends.
Thanks very much. Another anonymous one, do you suggest any formal courses for thorough knowledge about trading? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes. Can you please
Yeah.
tell?
Yeah. The query was, can you suggest any formal course for learning trading?
See, as far as trading is concerned, to be very frank, instead of doing a course, it is better you go to a broker who is near to you and you actually sit there and you observe the market. That is a more better way of learning. Because see, trading or investing is something where it is just like this. I give you a lecture on driving, but unless you put your leg on the accelerator, you will never learn. So it is actually when you go and sit at a broker's place now, you will learn things in much better way.
Right. Thanks very much. So the next one we have is, can we invest without monitoring regularly, as I am 8 hours full-time IT job, in a full-time IT job?
Yes.
Yeah, the participant wants to know, can we invest without monitoring regularly, as I am as I'm into a full-time IT job?
See, now that is something of all now which one has to be very difficult to answer, sir, primarily, because that will depend from person to person, okay, what kind of ultimately investment strategy you want to make and how you are doing this particular line, whether you want to take it as a business or you want to take it as an investment option. And if you are a full-time IT guy, to be very frank, the best strategy could be that you primarily try to invest only through mutual funds. That is a more better strategy to go with.
Thank you very much. So we have Mr. Aftab Khan who wants to know how to identify sectoral shifting.
See, sectoral shifting is, sir, basically that you need to see whether the sectors you have selected are basically able to make some kind of money or not. Correct. That is something very important. So, if the sector you have invested is not giving you return, then in that case, there is no point in continuing with that sector. Correct. So that is something important. You should be, if the sector is basically not giving returns, if the sector is not giving returns or basically some negative news is continuously coming in that sector, then there is no point in basically keeping that sector or continuing. So in that case, it is time for sector rotation. See, we take a simple example. When the lockdown was implemented, it was very clear that basically hospitality, that is hotels, aviations, and travel and tourism will be the worst affected. So there was no point keeping those stocks in your portfolio. On the other hand, everything moved to online. So IT was in the limelight, correct. Pharma stocks were in limelight because the need of the hour was healthcare, drugs, medicines. So like that, you will have to take a judgment.
Right, sir. Thanks very much. Mr. Shabbir Hiwala wants to know which is the most trustworthy news platform.
See, basically referring to Economic Times and Money Control would solve your issue, sir. Economic Times and Money Control. These two is something very, very good.
Thank you. So we have one from Mr. Tosif Sayyad. He wants to know how to predict that there is bulge in the market which requires correction.
Then, can you please repeat that question? I did not get. What is
Yeah,
bulk?
how to predict that there is a bulge in the market which requires correction.
See, one of the ways to see is valuation. See, if the PE ratios are rising like anything, see, as I had told you, that PE ratio is right now trading at 40, and that is one of the reasons basically why mutual funds are continuously removing the money. Correct. So, if you see from that perspective, yes, you need to try to avoid it. So, valuation can be looked from one of the aspects is PE ratio. Another is basically that if you see that the stock price rise has been too steep, correct, that means a 100 rupee stock has become 300 rupees in very small time, then in that particular case you need to be moving out of that particular stock.
Right. Thank you very much. There's one from Mr. Aftab Khan. He wants to know what is the best practice to screen out good return stocks.
See, what is the key method?
Best practice to screen out. I think he basically wants to mean is how to remove or how to understand what are the good return stocks. What is the best practice to
See, the best practice could be, as I told you, okay, primarily you try to go with BSE Sensex companies, friends. See, I typically go with them only, and trust me, that strategy has worked very well for me. See, again, friends, if I tell you one simple line, because see, this group is going to be there for quite a long. See, please understand, forget naming of stocks. See, adopt only one simple strategy. Again, I will repeat for all participants. See, the day BSE Sensex falls by 500 points, again, I repeat, the day BSE Sensex falls by 500 points, now, you simply buy the stocks which are in red. That simple, just do this, what I'm telling friends, and you will in any case make more than 10% return. It's a very simple strategy. Don't get confused with so much jargons or other things, or what these news channels keeps on screaming, because they are all they do with their vested interest. The simple logic is, on a given day when market is down by 500 700 points, now you just see what is Infosys down. Example, Infosys that day is down by say 2%, Reliance is down by say 3%, HDFC is down by say 1.5%. Simple strategy, buy one share of each. This is what I actually do. And then you hold it for longer duration. You will automatically make very good wealth. And this is a very simple strategy because it does not hurt your wallet also.
Right. Thank you very much. So, Mr. Shadab Kate wants to know why growth in the PSU stocks is low.
See, basically PSU stocks, what has happened is that right now the government is trying to basically lift them. But overall, if you see, in case of PSU stocks, every decision is taken by government, and government decisions are always slow in nature. Plus, basically, they don't have profit as their priority. Correct? They don't have profit as their priority. So in that particular case, you will always find that growth in PSU stocks will always be less. So always remember, when it comes to valuation, always try to basically go with private sector companies. Correct? That is something very important.
Right. Thank you very much. Right. So, with reference to the earlier question regarding learning trading, I think the same person wants to know, is there any online mode to learn trading from brokers as you suggested?
See, basically, as I told you, sir, the best option is that you can go to any broker basically who is near to your place. Correct? You can go to any broker who is near to your place, and then you can definitely create a strategy. You can basically learn from him. See, this is something, friends, that when you actually do him doing things now, that how he executes a trade, how he buys, then your probability to grasp that is very fast. Or alternatively, what we can do is that once this normal our 10 sessions get over, then if we can have one demo session during market hours, that is any time between 9:15 to 3:30, then I can basically show them the actual market terminal, and they can get a real feel of that. I can show them my own account. So that will be one strategy.
Sure. This person wanted to know whether there is some way it can be done online.
Oh, yes, sir. It can be done online. Yes, it can. Online trading, yes, you can definitely do it, sir. That is not a problem. Any broker you open your account, you will get both online trading also and offline trading also. You will get both. Yes.
Yeah, what he is referring to the learning of the trading, whether it can be done on online.
Sir, that can be done, but to be very frank, I don't know how much you will be able to grasp from it. It can be done. Yes, it is possible. It can be done.
Okay. Is there some way that we can suggest for that?
Sir, in that case, what we can do now, we can actually create a short course only. Say 2 days of 2 days, one hour of observing stock market. So that is a kind of learning only. Correct. What parameters to see. So when we do this demo session, he will be able to learn that.
Okay.
Yes,
Sure.
yes.
So we will plan that then.
Yes.
Thank you. And the next one from Mr. Shabir Jiwala is how to predict support and resistance levels.
See, support and resistance, all those things come as a part of technical analysis. So for identifying support and resistance and other things, you will have to properly learn technical analysis.
All right. So the next question is, in mutual funds, is there any mutual fund without lock-in period?
See, all mutual funds are without lock-in only. The lock-in comes only in tax-saver mutual fund. Otherwise, no mutual fund has a lock-in period. You can buy mutual fund at any point of time, you can sell. The only mutual fund where there will be a lock-in period is only basically tax saver mutual fund, where because you get that tax advantage, there is a lock-in period of 3 years.
Right. Thank you very much. So there's one from Mr. Mohammed Kaleem. He wants to know, averaging a stock while falling, is it a good strategy?
See, basically averaging is good strategy only if the stock is fundamentally very sound, correct? So if the net profit was rising, then there is no debt in the company. The company is in terms of top 3 to 4 in its industry. Then in that case, yes, averaging will give you good result. But if you try to average a stock whose balance sheet itself is weak and the stock is falling, then you will end up putting your more capital in a stock which is not fundamentally sound. So that is not advisable.
Thanks very much. The last question that we have for the day is from Zahid Merchant. He wants to know what are the major Indian macroeconomic factors impacting stocks and which are the good buys right now?
Zahid sir, basically Indian macro factors, as I told you, you have to keep a watch on GDP, interest rate, inflation, current account deficit, and fiscal deficit. And right now, if you see, slowly and gradually, our macroeconomic variables are improving, definitely. But the second wave of COVID, now, that is causing actually some trouble in the economy, because this has again put restrictions on the business hours, and plus there is a kind of fear among the people. So if God willing, the second wave subsides, then we are on track. But if the second wave creates a nuisance, just like last year in April and May, then definitely there is a problem.
Right. Thank you very much. Now there's one which has come up, and he wants to know whether holding Vedanta for long is a good strategy or not.
See, just remember one simple thing, friends. If you are talking of Vedanta, Tata Steel, all this, no, they are directly linked with China. So the moment China shows sign of recovery, these stocks will do well. The moment China says, I am fatigued, these stocks come down. So, but yes, right now what I foresee is that relatively world economy is improving, metals will be in demand. So yes, holding this may give you good result. But again, with a piece of caution. Huh?
Right, sir.